Okay, so this is day 4, and it's time to boil the steel, and here it is. And as you can see, it's got a nice coating of rust, and you can also see some black starting on it underneath that rust also. So yeah, looking good. This is that frizzen where I had the wax on. I'll make sure and get that off. Barrel's got a nice coating of rust on it. I removed the 2 wooden plugs. And water's coming to a boil. Not full boiling yet, but close enough. So I'm going to go ahead and start dropping them in. And I'm just going to drop them down in there. I'll put the lid back on it and let it go to a full rolling boil. Put that in also. There we go. Put those down in there. That. And those 2. Put this lid back on and let it come to a full boil and let it boil for 30 minutes. Okay, it's been 30 minutes now. So let's turn it off. Take the parts out and have a look at them. Remember, this part here I had that wax on, so that won't have anything to do with it. And you'll notice on these other parts, I don't know if you'll see or not, they are a nice black, but they've also got this kind of a black velvet look to them. All right, take that. Okay, let's move the camera over here. And you're going to need to go over this with a soft wire brush to get all of this off. So you just want to go like this. And you see how it's starting to take on some shine now after I work on it for a while. And it's going to take a while to get all of this off. There's a technique called carding where you can use a soft bristled brush on a wheel and it'll take it off a lot faster. I don't happen to have one, but it will work. So I'm going to work all this stuff down by hand, and then I'm going to put it back in here with some vegetable oil and let them soak for 24 hours. So I'll be back when that's done. Okay, and while those parts are soaking in the oil, I'm going to work on this lock plate. And for that, all I need is a torch. And this has been cleaned in soap and water and acetone, so I'm not going to be touching it with my hands anymore. think I'll stop with that. We're going to go with this. Okay, so I'm going to cool that off. And then this goes into the vegetable oil. And let all that soak overnight, 24 hours, then clean it up. Okay, the parts sat overnight in the vegetable oil. Got them cleaned up, worked them down with a soft bristled wire brush, put a light coat of gun oil on them, and got everything reassembled, and here it is. It is done. Let me back up a little. There you go. It is done. What do you think? Let me give you a close-up of the lock. You can see the different colorations there from the color hardening on that plate. A nice rich black look on the lock, cock on the barrel. It turned out pretty good. Not perfect. There are a few little mistakes on it that any real gunsmith would pick up right away. But they're my little mistakes. And that just makes this thing more uniquely mine. But I'm much happier with it now than when I got it, and I loved it when I got it. So, final thoughts, conclusions. Am I happy with it? Yes. Would I do it again? Absolutely. It was not expensive. I had pretty much everything I already needed, except just some of the finer grades of sandpaper I had to go out and purchase, but I had everything else. If I didn't have everything else and I had to go buy it, would it have been expensive? No, not really. The most expensive item that I needed would have been the muriatic acid, and of course, then if you need to buy the lacquer and the varnish, but they weren't all that very expensive. Would I recommend somebody else do it? Well, that kind of depends on their level of experience and expertise. If you're an accomplished DIYer and you've just never tried your hand at bluing steel before and you want to rework a gun or whatever, and you're thinking about this long, slow, cold rust bluing process, I would say sure, go ahead, give it a try. If you're new to DIY projects, you've never blued steel before, which I hadn't actually on this, but I had done other projects, and I'm an engineer, don't forget that, retired. I would recommend you do not try something like a slow cold rust bluing process for your first experiment. There are a lot of ways that are much easier and safer and faster to get that black finish on a firearm. One of those being just something like this Super Blue. And this cost about $8, and there's enough bluing compound in here to do several firearms. So, and it works. It's easy to use. It gives you a good black finish, and it works. So why didn't I do mine that way? Well, because there are a lot of different ways of bluing steel that exist, and they all give a slightly different look. You can only get the look that I was after this with that slow cold rust process, but you can blue steel and get a good looking finish with other methods like the Super Blue. It's just not going to be as good as this. Well, I say as good. It's not going to look the same. It can look just as good, quality wise, just a little different. Will it last 100 years like this one will if it's taken care of? Probably not. May not last 20 years. Question, does it need to? Something else to think about. So the only thing left to do now really is just take this thing back out to the range and throw some lead down range, which you'll have to wait for another video because the target range is closed right now for the next couple of days. So I'll get out there also with, going to take my snub nose out back to that 25-yard target and see if I can't lob a few rounds in. Thanks for watching, and please feel free to try this at home. If you got any questions, comments, suggestions, don't hesitate to leave them in the comment section. If you have already subscribed to my channel, and I'm up to 355, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you if you have. If you haven't, then I encourage you to do so. I wouldn't want you to miss out on any future fun, other projects that I have planned coming up. And if you'd like to see more in detail about how I'm doing things like this, pop on over to Patreon, sign up for a membership, and you get access to a lot more detailed and behind the scenes information than you get in my YouTube videos. So, see you at the range, and be careful out there.